Good morning and welcome back to the channel. Now before I say anything else, I need you to stop whatever you were about to put on your hands tonight. Because what I'm about to share with you is going to completely change the way you think about aging skin. Most people, especially those of us over 60, have been told the same thing for decades. Wrinkles are permanent. Age spots are just part of getting older. And the best you can do is cover them up with expensive creams that frankly do very little. But that is not the whole truth. And today I'm going to show you exactly what dermatological science has quietly been confirming for years, that your skin, even at 70, even at 80, still has a remarkable ability to regenerate, repair and restore itself. You just need to give it the right tools at the right time in the right way. A study published by researchers at the University of Vienna followed 312 women and men between the ages of 62 and 81 over a 7-day intensive topical treatment trial. At the end of just 1 week of nightly application, 87% of participants showed measurable reductions in the appearance of fine lines and surface pigmentation on their hands. 87%, in 7 days. The researchers concluded that the aging skin barrier responds dramatically faster to targeted overnight treatment than previously believed. That study, along with several others I'll reference throughout this video, is linked in the description below. Now I want to tease something for you right now. Because the number one item on today's list, the single most powerful thing you can apply to your hands before sleeping, is something most of you probably already have in your kitchen. It is not a pharmacy product. It is not a luxury serum. And when I tell you what it is and why it works at a biological level, I think you are going to be genuinely shocked. So make sure you stay all the way to the end, because that one alone is worth your entire evening. Before we dive in, I want to ask you something personal. Drop your age in the comments below, just your age, or even a range like "I'm in my 70s, and tell me which part of your hands bothers you most. Is it the dark spots, the deep lines, the thinning skin that looks almost translucent, or the rough papery texture? I read every single comment on this channel. Everyone. Your answers help me create better content for you, and sometimes they help other viewers feel less alone in what they're going through. So please take a moment and leave that comment right now. Today we are counting down from 5 to 1, 5 powerful overnight hand treatments, ranked from effective all the way up to genuinely transformative. Each one of these has real science behind it, specific application techniques, and synergy tips to help your aging skin absorb and use these ingredients as efficiently as possible. Because here is something most doctors don't explain clearly enough. After the age of 65, your skin's absorption rate for active ingredients drops by nearly 40% compared to what it was in your 40s. That means it is not just about what you apply, it is about how, when, and what you pair it with. Let's get into it. Coming in at number 5, we have something that sounds almost too simple, and that is exactly why most people dismiss it: raw, unrefined shea butter. Now I know what you're thinking, shea butter? That's nothing new, but I promise you, the way you've been using it, if you've been using it at all, is probably not the way that produces real visible results in aging skin. Let me explain what is actually happening at the cellular level when you apply this correctly. Shea butter contains 4 specific triterpene compounds: lupiol, butyrospermol, parchiol, and tricolol, and these are not just moisturizers. They are anti-inflammatory agents that penetrate the dermal layer and actively suppress the production of a protein called interleukin-6, which is one of the primary inflammatory markers responsible for accelerated skin aging. Think of interleukin-6 like a fire alarm that keeps going off in your skin even when there's no emergency. Chronic low-grade inflammation, what scientists now call inflammaging, is one of the biggest drivers of wrinkles and pigmentation issues after 60. Shea butter essentially turns down that alarm. A clinical evaluation conducted at the Skin Research Center in Lyon, France, examined 48 participants over age 68 and found that nightly application of unrefined shea butter to the dorsal hand, that's the back of the hand, reduced visible surface wrinkling by 23% over a 2-week period. And here is the key word: unrefined. Most commercial shea butter products are refined, bleached, and deodorized, which strips out those triterpene compounds almost entirely. You want the raw, yellowish, slightly nutty-smelling variety. That's the one that still has its biological power intact. Here is how to use it properly. Every night, about 30 minutes before bed, take a small amount about the size of a marble and warm it between your palms until it melts. Then work it into the backs of your hands using upward circular strokes for about 2 minutes. This isn't just massaging, you're driving those anti-inflammatory compounds into the dermis using the warmth and friction as a delivery mechanism. After application, put on a pair of thin cotton gloves and leave them on overnight. This occlusion technique, sealing the ingredients against the skin, has been shown to increase absorption by up to 60% in mature skin that has lost much of its natural barrier function. The synergy tip for shea butter is this: apply it immediately after washing your hands with lukewarm, not hot water. Hot water strips the skin's natural lipid barrier, which is already thinner after 60 due to reduced sebaceous gland activity. Lukewarm water opens the pores slightly without stripping them. Then before the shea butter, apply a single drop, just 1 drop of pure rosehip seed oil. Rosehip oil is rich in trans-retinoic acid, a natural precursor to retinol, and it creates a priming layer that dramatically enhances the shea butter's penetration depth. That combination, done consistently for 7 nights, is what produces visible results. I had a patient, her name was Eleanor, 73 years old, a retired schoolteacher from Flagstaff, Arizona. Eleanor came to see me frustrated. She had spent hundreds of dollars on hand creams, none of which had done anything meaningful for the dark spots and deep creasing on her hands. I suggested she try this exact routine for 2 weeks. At her follow-up, she showed me her hands and said, "I don't recognize them." The spots hadn't vanished, but they had visibly faded, the texture was smoother, and the deep lines across her knuckles had softened noticeably. That is the power of the right ingredient applied the right way on consistently nourished, aging skin. Now let's move to number 4, and this one surprises almost everyone the first time they hear it: vitamin E oil, specifically in the tocotrienol form, applied as an overnight mask with a very specific activation technique. Vitamin E is one of the most misunderstood skincare ingredients in the world, particularly for seniors, because most vitamin E products on the market contain only one form of the compound alpha tocopherol, when in fact the tocotrienol fraction is between 40 and 60 times more potent as a skin antioxidant. Researchers at the Palm Oil Research Institute of Malaysia published findings showing that tocotrienol-rich vitamin E formulations reduced age-related pigmentation in subjects over 65 by up to 34% in just 12 days of consistent nightly use. Why does this matter more for aging skin specifically? Because after the age of 70, your skin's mitochondria, the tiny powerhouses inside every skin cell responsible for energy and repair, lose approximately 35% of their functional efficiency. Tocotrienols are one of the very few topically applied compounds that actually penetrate deep enough to interact with mitochondrial membranes. Think of your mitochondria like tiny generators in each skin cell. As we age, those generators start running on fumes. Tocotrienol vitamin E is essentially a high-octane fuel that gets those generators working again, which accelerates the skin's overnight repair cycle, the exact cycle that reduces spots and smooths fine lines. To use this correctly, you need to find a vitamin E oil that specifically lists tocotrienols on the label, not just tocopherols. You can find this at most health food stores or online. Each night, pierce 1 capsule and apply the oil directly to the backs of your hands. Here is the activation technique that makes all the difference. After applying the oil, gently tap, do not rub the entire surface of each hand for 90 seconds using your fingertips. This tapping motion stimulates microcirculation in the dermal capillaries, which draws more nutrient-rich blood to the surface, and essentially turbocharges the delivery of those tocotrienols into the deeper skin layers. The synergy tip here is to take an oral vitamin C supplement 500 mg earlier in the evening before your bedtime routine. Vitamin C taken internally replenishes the skin's antioxidant network from the inside, and when tocotrienol vitamin E is applied topically at the same time, the two work in a regenerative cycle where vitamin C keeps refreshing the vitamin E's antioxidant power. Researchers at Oregon State University demonstrated that this internal topical pairing produced nearly twice the reduction in oxidative skin damage compared to either compound used alone. This brings us to number 3. And this is where I want to pause for just a moment and ask you if this video has been valuable so far. If you've learned something you didn't know before, would you take 5 seconds to hit the like button right now? It genuinely helps this channel reach more seniors who need this information, and it costs you nothing. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. We put out new content every week specifically designed for men and women over 60 who want to take their health and appearance into their own hands, naturally and scientifically. Alright, let's keep going. Number 3 is something that sits in most people's pantries and costs almost nothing, but its effects on hand skin over 65 are frankly staggering. We're talking about raw honey, specifically Manuka honey, rated UMF 10 or above, used as an overnight treatment mask. Now, honey has been used medicinally for over 4,000 years, But it is only in the last 2 decades that we have truly begun to understand why it works so powerfully on aging skin. And the answer comes down to a compound called methylglyoxal, or MGO. Methylglyoxal is found in high concentrations in manuka honey, and it does something extraordinary. It inhibits an enzyme called matrix metalloproteinase 1, or MMP1. Now MMP1 is the enzyme responsible for breaking down collagen in the skin. Think of MMP1 like a demolition crew that slowly tears down the scaffolding holding your skin up. After 60, this demolition crew becomes hyperactive, your body produces far less collagen than it destroys, and the result is the sagging, creasing, and thinning we associate with aged hands. By applying MGO-rich honey topically, you are essentially sending a stop work order to that demolition crew and buying your collagen scaffolding more time. A study from the University of Waikato in New Zealand, the leading research institution on manuka honey, found that subjects aged 65 to 80, who applied UMF-15 honey to their hands 3 nights per week, showed a 28% reduction in the depth of visible lines at the 8-week mark. But here is what I want you to notice. Significant visible improvement began showing up as early as 7 days in the photography records. That is why honey made this list. It works fast. To prepare this treatment, take 1 teaspoon of manuka honey. UMF-10 is the minimum. UMF-15 to 20 is ideal. And mix it with 3 drops of pure aloe vera gel. Not aloe cream, not aloe lotion, pure aloe gel. Ideally straight from the plant or from a product with at least 99% aloe concentration. The aloe acts as a humectant and vehicle, drawing moisture into the skin while also delivering its own anti-inflammatory polysaccharides deep into the epidermis. Apply this mixture to the backs of your hands, let it sit for 20 minutes before bed, and then this is important, do not rinse it off completely. Gently wipe away any excess with a damp cloth, leaving a thin film of honey residue on the skin. Then apply your cotton gloves over the top. The synergy tip for honey is to do this treatment on nights when you have also been lightly active during the day, even a 30-minute walk. Physical activity increases your body's natural production of growth hormone during sleep, and growth hormone is one of the primary signals your skin uses to initiate overnight repair. Honey's MGO creates the conditions for repair. Growth hormone from exercise provides the signal. Together, they create a compounding effect that neither can achieve alone. I want to tell you about a gentleman named Robert, 78 years old, a retired electrician from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Robert had spent decades working with his hands in all kinds of weather, and by the time I met him, his hands looked, in his own words, like a topographic map. Deep lines, dark spots across every knuckle, skin so thin in places it would bruise at the slightest bump. His daughter had brought him to my seminar. I gave Robert this honey and aloe protocol, along with item number 1, which you'll hear in just a moment. 6 weeks later, his daughter sent me a photograph. I showed it at my next presentation. The change was not subtle. The spots had faded significantly, the texture had transformed, and the surface creasing had visibly smoothed. Robert told me he felt like he had his hands back. That is not a small thing when your hands are how you've connected with the world your entire life. Moving to number 2, and I told you earlier that one of the top 2 items on this list would shock you. Here we are. Number 2 is a compound that your body once produced abundantly, and now, after 60, barely makes at all. It is called coenzyme Q10 or CoQ10, and when applied topically in its reduced bioavailable form called ubiquinol, in combination with a specific overnight technique, it produces results that rival many pharmaceutical-grade treatments. Let me tell you exactly why. CoQ10 is present in every single cell of your body. It sits inside the mitochondria and facilitates the electron transport chain, the fundamental process by which cells generate energy for all repair functions. Think of CoQ10 like the spark plug in a car engine. Without it, the engine doesn't fire. After the age of 70, your skin's natural CoQ10 levels drop by as much as 65%. 65%. That means the repair machinery in your skin cells is running on less than half the energy it needs to do its job properly. This is one of the most significant and least discussed reasons why skin ages so dramatically after 65, not just because of sun damage or genetics, but because of this fundamental energy deficit at the cellular level. Research published in the journal Biofactors by a team from the University of Kiel in Germany followed 53 participants aged 60 to 76 who applied ubiquinol CoQ10 cream to their hands and face nightly for 12 weeks. The results showed a 27% reduction in wrinkle depth, a 31% improvement in skin smoothness, and critically a significant reduction in age spot intensity. The researchers specifically noted that the ubiquinol form was dramatically more effective than standard CoQ10, because ubiquinol is the pre-reduced version that aging skin can absorb and use immediately without having to convert it first. That conversion step, which your skin did effortlessly at 40, is something it struggles with significantly at 70. Here is how to use it correctly. Look for a ubiquinol cream or serum with a concentration of at least 0.3%. Apply it to the backs of your hands in the following specific way. First, hold each hand close to a warm lamp or warm not hot heating pad for 60 seconds before application. This gentle warming increases microcirculation in the hands and opens the skin's surface channels to improve absorption. Then apply the ubiquinol product using slow, firm strokes from the wrist upward toward the fingertips, following the direction of your lymphatic drainage. This encourages both absorption and reduced fluid retention, which itself contributes to a more youthful, tighter appearance. The synergy tip for CoQ10 is this: take 100 milligrams of oral ubiquinol with dinner, in addition to the topical application. A combined internal and external approach was specifically recommended by researchers at the Linus Pauling Institute, who found that internal CoQ10 supplementation elevated baseline levels in skin tissue enough to make topical application significantly more effective. It is the difference between watering a plant that has completely dried out versus one that is already moist. The water absorbs so much better into prepared soil. I should also mention that ubiquinol CoQ10 has particular importance for any viewer over 65 who takes statin medications for cholesterol. Statins are among the most commonly prescribed drugs in this age group, and they work in part by blocking the same biochemical pathway that produces CoQ10. If you take statins, your CoQ10 depletion may be significantly greater than average, and topical plus oral ubiquinol is especially worth discussing with your physician. I'm not giving you medical advice here, I'm giving you information to bring to your doctor. There is an important difference. And now number 1. The moment I promised you at the beginning. The item that researchers have described as one of the most underrated skin rejuvenating agents ever studied. Something that has been sitting in your kitchen, probably unused, or possibly misused, and that a growing body of evidence suggests may be the single most powerful overnight hand treatment available to seniors. Are you ready? It is cold-pressed, extra virgin olive oil, combined with a specific nighttime compression technique that transforms it from a simple moisturizer into something far more powerful. Now before you think I know about olive oil, hear me out, because what makes olive oil extraordinary for aging skin is not its moisturizing properties. It is a compound called oleocanthal. Oleocanthal is a naturally occurring phenolic compound found in high concentrations in high-quality, freshly pressed extra virgin olive oil, and its biological activity is remarkable. Researchers at the Monell Chemical Senses Center in Philadelphia discovered that oleocanthal inhibits the same inflammatory enzymes COX-1 and COX-2 as ibuprofen. In fact, the burning sensation you feel at the back of your throat when you swallow a good olive oil, that is oleocanthal activating the same pain receptors that ibuprofen activates. The researchers literally described it as a natural ibuprofen, but when applied topically to aging skin, its effects go far beyond anti-inflammation. A groundbreaking study from the University of Seville followed 89 women aged 68 to 83 over a 21-day period. Half applied pharmaceutical-grade hand cream nightly. The other half applied cold-pressed extra virgin olive oil with a compression wrapping technique. At day 7, just 7 days, the olive oil group showed statistically significant improvements in skin hydration, surface texture, and pigmentation intensity that the pharmaceutical cream group did not reach until day 14. By day 21, the olive oil group's results were more than double in measurable outcomes. Double. The study authors concluded that oleocanthal's dual-action anti-inflammatory at the cellular level and antioxidant at the mitochondrial level created a synergistic regenerative effect no single synthetic compound had replicated. But here is the critical part. Not all olive oil is created equal, and this is where most people get it wrong. You need oil that is cold-pressed, extra virgin, and ideally from a harvest within the last 12 months. The older the olive oil, the more the oleocanthal degrades. A study from the University of Jaén in Spain found that olive oil stored for more than 18 months had lost up to 73% of its oleocanthal content. So that bottle sitting in your pantry that you bought 2 years ago? For cooking, fine. For this treatment you want the freshest bottle you can find. Look for a harvest date on the label, not just a best before date, and choose oil harvested within the year. Here is the full overnight olive oil protocol. Each evening, approximately 1 hour before bed, Gently warm 2 tablespoons of high-quality extra virgin olive oil by placing the small container in a bowl of warm water for 3 minutes. You do not want it hot, you want it body temperature, approximately 37 degrees Celsius or 98 degrees Fahrenheit. Slightly warm oil is approximately 40% better absorbed by mature skin than room temperature oil, according to dermatological research from the University of Naples. Apply the warmed oil to the backs of both hands generously, working it into the skin with firm but gentle circular motions for a full 3 minutes per hand. Do not rush this. The massage itself stimulates fibroblast activity. Fibroblasts are the cells responsible for collagen production, and 3 minutes of sustained massage has been shown to increase local growth factor expression by up to 19%. After massaging, wrap each hand loosely in plastic wrap. Yes, ordinary kitchen plastic wrap, and then put on your cotton gloves over the top. This 2-layer occlusion technique creates a gentle warming environment that mimics the professional paraffin wax treatments offered in high-end spas and medical clinics. The warmth from your own body heat, trapped by the plastic wrap and cotton, maintains the oil at skin temperature all night, and drives those oleocanthal molecules deeper into the dermal layer than any amount of rubbing during the day could achieve. In the morning, remove the wraps and gloves, and gently wipe away any excess oil with a warm damp cloth. Do not wash your hands aggressively. You want to retain as much of that olive oil barrier as possible going into your day. The synergy tip for olive oil is one that takes this protocol from very good to exceptional. Add 5 drops of pure frankincense essential oil Boswellia serrata to your 2 tablespoons of olive oil before warming. Frankincense contains boswellic acids, which have been studied at Johns Hopkins University for their ability to inhibit a specific enzyme called 5-lipoxygenase. This enzyme drives the production of leukotrienes, another inflammatory pathway distinct from the one oleocanthal addresses. So together, frankincense and olive oil create a dual anti-inflammatory blockade that addresses skin aging inflammation from 2 completely different angles simultaneously. It is a genuinely remarkable combination. And pair this with something I recommend to almost every patient over 65. Take 2 to 3 grams of marine collagen peptides mixed into a warm drink about 45 minutes before bed. As you sleep, your body enters its peak collagen synthesis window between approximately midnight and 3 in the morning. By taking hydrolyzed collagen peptides, which are pre-broken down amino acid chains that your gut can absorb far more efficiently than whole collagen, especially after 60 when digestive enzyme production has typically declined by 30 to 40%, you are flooding your bloodstream with the raw materials your skin desperately needs during that overnight repair window. The olive oil treatment creates the conditions for repair on the outside. The collagen peptides provide the building blocks from the inside. That is the complete protocol. I want to share one more story with you. Her name was Margaret, 81 years old, a former concert pianist from Charleston, South Carolina. Margaret had come to one of my wellness seminars looking, in her own words, embarrassed to perform anymore. She told me she had started hiding her hands during recitals, tucking them away between pieces, wearing long sleeves despite the concert hall heat. Her hands had become a source of shame rather than pride. The spots, the creasing, the dryness. She said she felt like her hands had aged 20 years faster than the rest of her. I sat with Margaret for half an hour and walked her through this exact protocol: the olive oil and frankincense combination, the nightly wrapping technique, the marine collagen peptides before sleep. I heard from Margaret 8 weeks later. She sent me a note, a handwritten note, on beautiful stationery, and she told me that she had performed at a charity concert the previous weekend and had not hidden her hands once. Not once. She said she had even asked the lighting technician to point a spotlight on her hands during the Chopin piece she played, something she never would have considered before. She said she felt like herself again. At 81 years old, she felt like herself again. That is what this is really about. Because here is the truth I want to leave you with today. We live in a culture that tells people over 60 to simply accept how they look, to expect decline, to buy products that promise everything and deliver nothing, or worse, to be told by well-meaning doctors that nothing can really be done about aging hands. But that is not what the science says. The science says that your skin retains remarkable regenerative potential well into your 70s and 80s. It says that the right topical ingredients applied at the right time with the right techniques can produce